Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Dugout podcast. I'm your co-host Andrew, alongside my fellow co-host Marissa,
Hello.
and we're back for our what we want to call our season finale. Hopefully, we'll be back at the start of the next Premier League season
Mm-hmm.
or shortly thereafter. But yes, so we have hopefully a very informative and entertaining program for viewers today. And today's Just Football, talking about the European Championship, the recently played European final. Spain coming out 2-1 winners against England in what was an enthralling game. I'm going to let Marissa take the lead.
Half.
I am going to let Marissa take the lead here on this particular topic. So, Marissa, what were your thoughts on Sunday's final?
Oh, gosh, I was bored in the first half. But I mean, to be honest, I think I fell asleep in two of England's games this tournament.
Did you?
But that could have just been because I was tired at the time. However,
I mean, kickoff times were 11 and 3.
Yes, be tired at
Before that 9.
yes, be tired at all times.
Unless outside was hot and it drained you. But continue. I'm not sorry for interrupting.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
But yeah, the first half was kind of cagey. I felt like no team really did anything. Spain had a lot of possession.
Mm-hmm.
But they really didn't create much. England didn't had a couple brief fleeting counterattacks, but they didn't really come to anything. I think the standout chance in the first half was a chance Foden had at the back post that he kind of kicked right at the keeper.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? Yeah. But the second half really came alive in the 46th, 47th minute when Spain scored right after kickoff. And I remember being on social media and people were, because Rodri had just gotten subbed.
Right.
And people were like, oh my gosh, the luck with England again. There's a big opportunity. And before the words dropped, Spain scored.
Mm-hmm.
And then in typical fashion, which was really characteristic of England throughout the tournament, when Spain scored first, they started to play. Mm-hmm. I don't remember any massive opportunities they created, but they did. I must say they did look better. Southgate sub Kane pretty early. Watkins came on. He brought a different. I know you don't rate him. We had that conversation at the end of last season, but I thought he brought a different dimension whenever he came on for England because, and I guess we'll talk about Harry Kane. Harry Kane did not look right for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's a fitness issue because I know he just came out from injury and stuff.
Right.
But on the Watkins posed a different proposition to Spain centre backs. Then Palmer came on, scored a fantastic goal 2 minutes later. And honestly, I felt worried because, he didn't want England to win. But I
honestly did not know that. Continue.
I felt worried because I felt the momentum. I hate to use that word sometimes because everybody uses it. But the momentum was shifting England's way. And then, quick so, Spain got it back in the ascendancy again because, again, characteristic of England, whenever they score, kind of sit back. Mm-hmm. And then Spain fashioned what I thought was a really good winner, and England didn't have a response. I felt like Spain were deserving winners not only on the day but throughout the tournament. Mm-hmm. You were saying a lot in your recaps that they were the best team, they were the standout team for you from the group stage all throughout the knockout phases, and I think it was well deserved. They won all of their games, played some really good football. I think they scored the most goals ever at a Euros. So I thought it was deserved. They were deserving winners. I felt like you said at the beginning, I would say it was an enthralling game in the second half because when Spain scored so early, it kind of forced England to play. And to me, Spain had, I think, 2 or 3 really good opportunities to double their lead before England equalized. So I thought it was a good game in the second half. I would have liked it for the full 90, but hey, Southgate and all. But yeah, I think Spain were deserving winners. England looked shattered as you would expect any losing finalist to look. But deserving winners, Spain.
Interesting.
But what I would say though.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's a similar sentiment, and I think you're probably going to talk about this when you go on your assessment. But To me, it felt like another opportunity missed for England, in my opinion. Spain played well, I must say. Spain did play well. They were the standout team throughout the tournament, as we said. But to me, every time England went behind in this tournament, you saw glimpses of what England could be.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it when the Netherlands game. For me, I think that first half was probably the best I've seen England play the whole tournament. And Netherlands scored early, which I think again was a factor in that. But you saw whenever England were chasing the game, you saw glimpses of what the team could be if the handbrake. I don't want to say handbrake. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You will dissect that for me. But you saw glimpses of what England could be. And it felt like Spain, when England started to play, Spain looked a bit, low. And one thing you have, I don't want to criticize Spain too much because, as I said, they were the standout team. But one thing you could criticize Spain for throughout this tournament is not killing off games.
Mm-hmm.
There was the quarterfinal against Germany, where Germany scored a late equalizer. France as well got back in the game, and France played. France was such a. I don't want to say France played really well, but I thought that Spain could have killed off France a lot earlier as well.
Well, okay. Well, you said that France got back in the game. Sorry to cut you off.
Sorry, they scored first.
France scored
Right. I forgot about that. But in terms of the second half, when Spain went to 1-0, I felt like when they came up for the second half,
Mm-hmm.
France were really going for it.
Right.
And I felt like Spain were kind of content, just kind of protecting their lead, and they weren't killing off the games.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that kind of let England back in a bit when they didn't take their opportunities to probably make it 2 or 3. But again, I thought a missed opportunity for England because England have the capacity and the players to play really good football and to put pressure on teams. But for some reason, I don't think you saw it enough throughout the tournament.
Mm.
So another missed opportunity for me, like Italy at Wembley, was a few years ago. So over to you, sir.
I mean, all that you said was fair. I'll start with the game first.
Mm-hmm.
The first 45 minutes, I actually watched over most of the game, at least an hour worth.
Okay.
And that's because just for preparation for this. So, first 45, I think Spain were dominant. I know you said it was cagey. I think England were set up from a defensive point of view quite well.
Yeah.
Which kind of like, limited Spain from creating an overwhelming amount of chances. But Spain were close a couple times in the first half. England played like 2 or 3 minutes of football in that first half. They had a little 2 or 3 minute spell where they strung a little something together, and they really fashioned a chance. I think they had another moment where I think Bellingham pinched the ball off of Carvajal late in the first half as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the Foden chance. Well, I didn't really call that a chance because Foden was kind of off balance and falling over as he made a connection with the cross. So I don't know if I really call that a chance per se, but yeah, maybe on another day he could have made more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Second half, again, Spain started well. I shouldn't say they caught England cool, but got a very good goal. Like you said, they had 2 or 3 opportunities through Lamine Yamal to extend the lead and maybe put the game off sight. Didn't do it. England were trying to fashion stuff, but it wasn't really happening to me in the second half. It wasn't until Cole Palmer came on in the game where then England looked a bit more dangerous. And they got the goal, well-worked goal, because, Palmer, in Lamaine's terms, could play football. And the rest of them. I mean, England got players that could play football, but I think England's game plan was baffling to me to a certain degree. I think when England, like for example, you said you saw the best of England when they went behind. I don't necessarily agree. I think England were poor against Serbia for the most part. They were poor against Denmark. They were poor against Slovenia. They were poor against who they played in the first knockout round? Slovakia first.
Oh, right.
They were poor against Slovakia.
Very poor in that game.
And they were poor for about 80 odd minutes against Switzerland as well. England had 40 minutes of good football against Holland in the first half. To me, the Holland game, where England did well, was kind of in the first half, was because Holland made a mistake. Because although Holland took the lead, to me, Holland weren't compact enough, and there was a lot of space in between lanes for Foden to receive the ball and Bellingham to receive the ball and do as a like. Second half when Holland kind of like made that adjustment and were a bit more compact. The game was a bit more 50-50. Actually, I would argue that Holland had the better chances in the second half to score before England took the winner.
True.
England were allowing the game to drift. It was only late 10 minutes where Southgate made a double change and then, Palmer provided the assist for Watkins, so well taken finish. I've seen him score of similar situations in the Premier League. But a well-timed finish, not going to take anything away from him. Going back to the final though, on Sunday, Spain's press was aggressive. I meant that Spain won the ball back high, oftentimes. So England were unable to get out, and England were trying to build the ball in away areas, but with minimal success. That's why they look like such a dull attacking force for the most part. What England needed in that game on Sunday was some composure on the ball to keep it, and to play through the lanes of the Spanish press.
Yeah, y'all struggled.
But they weren't able to do that because Declan Rice, God bless you, can win the ball back, but he can try to carry the ball. He can necessarily play, if he passes him more to the way areas as opposed to through the lanes.
Right.
Menu's a run with the ball first kind of footballer as well. Bellingham is a run with the ball first footballer as well. Bellingham can pass the ball too, but science Bellingham is well on the ball a bit too long for my liking. And England lacked. So they lacked penetrative passing. There was a lack of pace up front for me as well. I know people want to talk about Harry Kane this and Harry Kane that, but I think y'all being a bit unfair on Harry Kane. And I don't normally defend Tottenham players or former Tottenham players, I should say. But I'll tell you what. When was Harry Kane's game ever predicated on mobility?
That's true.
Harry Kane likes to drop deep into the hole. He has good creative passing ability. And what Harry Kane benefited from, and why Harry Kane looked so good in the last European Championship compared to this one, was that you had pace up front with Sterling, along with Saka. And then you had the first change with Rashford coming off the bench sometimes. You had pace alongside him. But Harry Kane did by himself, and you got people like Foden. Foden is not somebody who's going to run in behind, so there's no runners for him to occupy the space that he's leaving. So Harry Kane is kind of like, I feel like Harry Kane being made a scapegoat almost to a certain degree. And the other thing that Harry Kane thrives upon is that good delivery into the box. How many crosses really coming from the away areas, delivery-wise for Harry Kane to thrive. And even when the long ball from Pickford, what Spain was doing a lot was that when Spain pressed, it forced England back a lot. When Pickford launched the ball at the field,
countless times, 50 times a game.
There were 2 or 3 times where Bellingham actually won the first header.
But
nobody's around. They're far apart. So I think you say opportunity miss. For me, I think going back to what I said 3 years ago in the last European Championship, I actually think that the last European Championship against Italy was a better chance than this one. You keep saying opportunity miss. I'm not sure about that. And like I said, I don't necessarily agree that when England went behind, we saw what England could be. I think when Southgate made certain substitutions at certain times, you saw the glimpses of it, but I don't think you ever saw it for sustained periods. I think the best team won. Spain were the deserved winners. The first goal that England conceded, that was a very, very avoidable goal. The ball got built up the England's left hand side, and Fabian Ruiz makes a run. I think Saka was man-marking Cucurella for the first half. But Cucurella didn't run. Fabian Ruiz made a run along with Williams, so it created a 2v1 at the back post by Kyle Walker. Saka ain't track back, so he don't make all the guy had to finish it. And the winning goal, you said a well-worked goal. The pass was intelligent. I think somebody played the pass, played a straight ball through the lanes again to the striker and the pricker. But the striker actually, to me, on the hit, the pass outweighed to Cucurella.
I thought so too. I thought it was.
Walker was favored to get there.
I thought so too.
And it looked
from the angle, it looked that way.
Kind of stopped too, because the striker was ahead of Gahey, but Johnson was in the vicinity as well. But he actually didn't went all the way back. He kind of stopped. I'm not sure if he expected, people watching at home expected Kyle Walker to cut it out, or at least make a challenge. But he kind of stopped. Yeah,
when I was watching it, I was not expecting Cucurella to get in across, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because the pass was under his.
What was doing, and I keep on. And when I say people tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But Kyle Walker is very, very quick. has low recovery pace.
That's it.
Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth.
And I see here team in tournaments. Craziness,
right? You know what I mean? When we get there.
Yeah, I think he had a very average tournament, to be honest.
I think a lot of England players had a very, very average tournament.
Yeah, it's true.
England, so for example, like I said, Spain were fantastic and they played the best football, enterprising stuff. They're dynamic, they're young. They got resilience too because they show character as well. There were games like against France where they come from behind and won. But is like two sides of a coin. One where Spain has played well, and tried football what you like to see. I found different ways to beat teams. And then you have England, who I don't think England, apart from about 30, let's say half an hour against Holland, England were dull, were uninspired, and England basically got the final because of resilience. I think last time we did a live show, I mentioned that I like the comments that Bellingham made from the simple fact that if it's going to create a siege mentality and that builds a bit of resilience or what's not, that might be what you might need to rely upon, which England had in abundance because almost all the games have come from behind at some point.
Yeah.
But it was a good watch.
Yeah. There are 2 points that you made I want to zero in on a bit before we move on. So you mentioned Harry Kane being the scapegoat, and we were talking a lot privately about the balance of England's side. And I think the point you made is a very good one because a lot of people are saying how poor Harry Kane was. For me, he didn't look 100% fit to me. Because even though pace isn't his game or running in behind, he didn't look like the Harry Kane that you know. And again, I think it was because he was coming back off an injury. But that's neither here or there. But you made the point about how he thrived at last year is because he had pace. And you were always saying that you don't think that the 3 behind Kane should have been Foden, Bellingham, and Saka. You would have played Anthony Gordon for that pace. And
well, I would have carried Grealish too, but
he wasn't there.
I ain't Gareth.
Right.
Right, go ahead.
So again, it comes back to, I think, the manager not making the right selections. It's like, it kind of feels like he wanted to get England's best 11 players on the pitch, regardless of whether that best 11 players form the best team. So I agree with you on that sense because maybe if you had an Anthony Gordon running in behind, it would have helped more. The other point you made about the substitutions that Gareth Southgate made. No, for me personally, I think that Foden should have been dropped at some time in the tournament. That's my personal opinion. I think he wasn't. I don't really want to talk about the goals and assists. To me, he wasn't really playing well, like you could say for most of England players. So that would be a change that I would have made to the starting 11. Right. But my question to you is, I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, this boy should start. This boy should start. This boy should start." But let's use Cole Palmer as an example. Can you say that if Palmer had started, wouldn't he have been afflicted with the same, I guess, malaise that was afflicting the whole England team whenever they play? Can you say that he was allowed to come on and play football because he was a sub and coming on usually to try to change the game, try to create a goal, score a goal, whatever? Would you have seen that same Cole Palmer if he had started?
I think so. I actually think so because it wasn't that Cole Palmer did anything spectacular. He played well, but it wasn't that he did anything out of the ordinary. Right. He kept it simple. When he got it, he released it. Think about the goal that England scored on Sunday. England won back the ball. He picked it up off of Declan Rice, I believe. Played forward early to Saka. You know what I'm saying? Saka then, because Kukurea was up the field, Saka was able to get at the whoever the defender was one-on-one. Played the ball into Benham, who was afforded time to get forward. Benham flicked the ball back and it's just a first time shot. The goal against Holland that he created for Ollie Watkins. A simple ball through lane early. Not many run, play the ball early.
Okay.
So
So that fits then with your point about how most of the players in England's side were more ball carriers than somebody to look to pass the ball through lanes.
Yeah, and also people and most of them as well want to come short.
It's true.
The problem that happened when you play Foden in this, because I think it was essentially the same front four from the last World Cup too, you know. When you think about it. Was it the same one?
No,
Yeah,
Sterling
Started a couple of work against me. And he went OT, man. He left, but I can't remember who replaced him. I know Foden started the game against France for sure. But I think there was somebody else that may have played or started. He miss him out. No, miss him out, came off the bench. Can't remember. But the difference is that for the most part, because you have Trippier on the left hand side as well, who can only play the ball square, it means that the entire left side was dead. And then you force Bellingham to go across and left from a midfield position.
A little bit lost out there.
The problem was, and not only that, because Bellingham was coming infield as well. But again, England were passing the ball too slow at times. You had a situation as well where Bellingham, because there had times where Bellingham got in between lines as well, along with Foden, where maybe they could combine. But Bellingham, a lot of times, Bellingham getting in between lines, but he's not getting the ball. Because the ball gets sideways or going back or going, so I don't know. To me, England, they look like they were playing to any particular style at times.
It's true. And we've been very critical about Southgate and not having, it's been 8 years and no set 11s, no set style of play. And we'll get to Southgate in a bit, but I don't think going into a major tournament that's especially one where you've been preparing for 18 months, I don't think that's where you should be.
The one tournament that he had, there were two. He had a set style of playing. I didn't like these style of playing, but he had a set. I think 2018 and 2020 and the Euros in 2021, he had a set style of playing. The last World Cup, he kind of figured it out as he was going. I think got better as the tournament went on. This one as well, he started one way, then he switched personnel a couple times, trying to figure things out, and then he got 11 that he felt was at least good enough to stay in games and, true moments of brilliance or what's not.
Moments indeed.
Yeah. So, it's what it is. Not really is what it is, but England were deserving winners. And my problem with Southgate, just to touch on this quickly, this recent composition of squad, I felt as though he drafted in too many new faces.
And then obviously couldn't call on them because they're very inexperienced. And
you could call on them, but my thing is that inexperienced or not, you could call on them, but you're really got no tangible evidence of how they were fitting.
Yeah.
Or how they would play.
It's true.
To a certain degree.
Yeah, I get you.
So that's the view of the Spain versus England final.
Yeah.
And now we are on to, let's talk about teams that were in the final. So we'll start with Spain.
Yeah.
How optimistic are you about Spain going forward into the next World Cup and beyond?
I think one of the words that you used to describe Spain at the beginning was how youthful the squad is. And I think that bodes really well for the future. You have Pedro and Gavi, who obviously for injury reasons didn't feature heavily. You got Yamal and Williams that look fantastic on the wings. Cucurella is still quite young, entering his prime, I believe. I just think that Spain kind of took me by surprise because, as I said at the beginning of the Euro predictions and stuff, I haven't been watching a lot of international football. So when I think Spain, I was still imagining that kind of style that they were playing where it wasn't, it got them far back in those early 2010s when they won, I think it was the 2012 Euros they won. And so I don't think they did well at the last few tournaments either. So I wasn't really expecting much, but having seen them play, they really impressed me. The direct style. Nacho and Carvajal are getting on in years. You got to see how they replace them. But I think Spain have a very, very, very bright future, I think. I think they need a striker. Morata is still not it for me, but good leader, I guess. Seems to be well respected in the squad. But Spain look like a squad that you can put up there as, just as you did at the beginning, as a top 4 favorite for the next tournament.
Yeah, when we previewed the tournament, I said that Spain were my 3rd favorites. I think I mentioned France and England.
France, England, Spain, and then you had Dutch and Germany as tied for 4th.
Yeah. So because like I know you said Spain didn't do well in recent tournaments, but I think what people miss is that Spain were unlucky in recent tournaments because I think that I didn't really see much of their games at last World Cup, granted, but I remember watching them at the last Euros, for example, and even in 2018 in Russia. They play well. Their problem was that because they had a lack of pace and a lack of a proven goal scorer that's consistent, it meant that sometimes, they might struggle to create chances against certain teams, or it might be a case where they might struggle to be clinical enough and put teams away. They still don't score. I mean, they score in every game, but if you think about it, apart from the emphatic Georgia win, I think all the other games are like maybe 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah.
Me too.
Georgia and some other team that beat 4-1.
Was that Albania, right?
Yeah. In the group stage. Yeah.
I think those good. I think like 3 of those goals came in the last 15 or so minutes as well. Not taking anything away from them. So I agree with you. I think that because I think the one thing that I think this Spain team is missing is like a David Villa, Torres type striker.
Yeah.
Who you can, who's going to deliver on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
But the future is definitely bright, especially with the 2 white players, Williams and Lamal.
Yeah.
It's really bright, really good prospects. And I expect Spain to challenge, for the next World Cup, the next European Championship. And I think that will be the case for the foreseeable future, because I think that even if Spain don't have the big name superstars, for example, they have good coaches and they also have good players who are technically, astute. So they always have a chance to me.
Yeah, I got you mentioned the coach. I thought he did a really good job. One thing someone mentioned was that they had, I think it was Pedri that got injured and wanted to get right. And Olmo had to come in. Then you had Carvajal suspended, and Navas had to come in at right back. And it's like, even though the personnel was different, they still did the job that they were supposed to, and the team still played the same. So everybody knows their role, everybody knows what they're supposed to do, and that comes down to really good coaching as well. That you can switch out personnel and you can still get your team playing in the start of it. So, and the achievement for him, I think they said he's the only manager to have won at under 19, under 21, and the senior level, which I think is really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought he did a really good job because it was Enrique that was their last coach.
I believe so.
Yeah. I think his reign.
Luis Enrique. His reign was, it started and it was interrupted because his daughter was sick and then he came back.
Okay. Yeah. But this guy's done a very good job with them, and like you said, I definitely think they'll be challenging. But will England challenge, you think? Especially now that Southgate has, I think, rightfully walked away. So where do you think England are going to be in terms of challenging?
It is hard to say. I think England have, like I said, I think England have 1 or 2 world-class players in their ranks, and I think they have a lot of very good players. But can England find a system or style of play that gets the best of those players? You mentioned the fact that you find that it was as though England were trying to fit their best 11 players on the pitch rather than, the best team or the best, cohesive unit. And I think that's something that England has to face or have to come to terms with, in the sense that, yeah, Foden might be a big name, or Saka might be a big name, or whoever might be a big name. But only 11 players can play. Simple as. Where I give Southgate credit, though, is that Southgate did tend to, more than most England managers in recent history, he did try to, pick players on occasion, not all the time, but on occasion that were in form.
Right.
But where do I think England go from here? A lot of that depends on the landscape. It will be next 4 to 5 years. And here's what I mean. In terms of Southgate, if you're assessing Southgate, yes, he's resigned. You said rightfully so. I give Southgate a bit of credit, in the sense that I think he did a decent job in terms of he actually guided England to the latter stages of tournaments, which was not in recent years. They failed a lot. even when they've had big name squads, for example, they failed. So I think he deserves a bit of credit for getting them to the latter stages of tournaments. But being the historian that I am, and I will not allow people to change the narrative. Yes, he got to 2 finals and a semi-final and a quarterfinals or what's not, but you also have to figure in the opposition that he was playing against at that time. It wasn't the best. He had a very favorable draw in 2018. He had essentially a home tournament and a quite favorable draw as well in the last European Championship. And I've been critical of how the manner in which he went out against France in the last World Cup. And people will be critical of the manner of the performances in this tournament as well. So it depends. When I say it depends on the international landscape, it depends on, because I think that there's kind of like a scarcity of high quality international teams at this point in time, in terms of who you would expect from the big names. So Portugal are going through a bit of a transition. Germany are seeming to find, or showing glimpses of finding their feet, but still, they've got a lot to do.
Right.
France, they've won, but have they won enough, in the last 8 years? When you look at these squad that are names that they've had at times, that could be debatable. I think they only won the World Cup, but they lost the European Championship in 2016 final. They lost, yeah. So France maybe could have won more. Spain are emerging again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how many viewers watch the Copa America, but Brazil struggling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Argentina's still winning, but Messi's a force on the decline a little bit as well. So when you look at the Holland, got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Because Holland didn't really impress me necessarily either. I thought they would have been better. So when you look at the international landscape in terms of the big nations, Italy need to find a goal scorer. When you look at the international landscape in terms of the usual big teams that normally challenge for trophies, there is a bit of a famine right now. So this was a good opportunity in terms of could England win something when the others are struggling. Mm-hmm. But I want England to know that the rest of the world are not going to be on the knees forever. Yeah. So you got to make it count. Yeah. So I really, we got to watch the next 2-3 years to see what the next World Cup look like, because Spain is ascendancy, but France might catch back themselves. Portugal could. Germany will be further along as well in terms of their development. Mm-hmm. So you can never be sure. That's true.
Okay, so I saw this question. I agree with everything you're saying, by the way. But I was watching TalkSport this morning, mm-hmm. and the Goldstein posed a really good question. Up to now, I am sure Andy Townsend properly answered it. But he was like, do you think, mm-hmm. and this is my question to you, mm-hmm. but this is what he said. Do you think that Southgate's reign is being evaluated based on what he did, or based on, like you call it, the famine before then? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people are saying what you're saying, we got to finals and semifinals, mm-hmm. but is he being judged in isolation, or is he being judged because the others before failed so spectacularly? Mm-hmm. So what do you think?
It is more to do with the others before failing mm-hmm. spectacularly, because everyone will say, oh, he's taken us to the furthest we've been in a World Cup or in a European Championship or any tournament since Sir Alf Ramsey, for example. Those are the things that are being said. Mm-hmm. If you put it in that box alone, like I said, history will not tell you how they got there,
right?
But history will tell you that they were there.
They got, mm-hmm.
So he would go down as, yes, he would go down in a historic sense, for that matter, as the second most successful, or the most successful England manager of the modern era. Mm-hmm. Cool. There's no disputing that. Mm-hmm. But I was alive, and as long as I'm alive and I got air in my body, and somebody asked me a question, or if it lending my opinion to the argument, I would tell you that, they weren't really impressive runs for the most part.
Yeah.
And if I put it in context, because if you look at each tournament let's look at each tournament in isolation for a moment. Mm-hmm. Russia 2018, played Belgium twice, lost both times. Played Croatia, who I think was a poor England squad, but people will argue could they have been in Croatia? Yeah. Maybe, with a better coach, maybe. Mm-hmm. I kind of borderline on it. But I think maybe. I think it was still a winnable game, mm-hmm. right? He lost that, but that was in the genesis of his reign. Mm-hmm. So forgive him for that. other teams that he played in that 2018 World Cup would have been Colombia. I think he played Colombia. I think he played Sweden as well, maybe.
Yeah,
If I'm
I
not
think
certain.
so.
He played Tunisia in the group stage. I think they played somebody else. I was beat to Panama or something like that in the group stage when they won 6-1 or something. So then you look at the 2021 European Championship that was delayed by COVID. Essential home tournament, but again, you played a Croatia team a couple years older. Played a Germany team that was in decline at the time. So what I'm trying to get at, and then even this European Championship, this last round of the final, you play a Holland team that was quite average by Holland standards. I think Holland would admit that. Like I said, I would be first to admit I wasn't expecting Holland to be as average as they look, but they did. It was a vintage Holland team. So when you look at the teams that have recognition in terms of name that Southgate has beaten, the list is not very long.
Yeah.
And he's not beaten them when it mattered the most either.
I think I saw something that he's only won 7 out of 20 something against. I think it's either top 10 ranked teams or just big nations.
Right. And I think that's a problem. So when you frame it in that context, which as time goes on, many people won't, I suspect, then you will hear that, But like I said, if you put it in the box of how well England have done in terms of their progression in tournaments, then he's done a good job. And if you look at it from that standpoint, you could argue that he's done a respectable job and he's restored a bit of respect to England in terms of where people consider them to be on the international landscape in terms of tournament threats. I think the squad personnel is somewhat there. But at the same time, I have to frame it. The opposition, I think, wasn't the best. It was
very average.
And his record in the biggest games or against B teams, even in qualifiers or friendlies,
it's poor. Yeah.
And if you frame it, I think he defeated Italy in qualifying for this tournament. But as we saw in the tournament itself, Italy are work in progress.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a good question because, I don't mind persons, wanting to show respect for him. I mean, he's done a decent job, but I still think you have to be objective. And I thought it was a good question that he posed to Andy Townsend. And I hope that other people see it too, because it's okay. You can praise, but you can praise the good, but you can also critique the bad. And I find like what we are struggling with not only in football, but I find in this world is that you go too far to the extremes. You either want to be overly critical or overly praisey. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. But it's okay to have a balance. Right. And I think that Southgate's reign need to be viewed with balance.
Correct.
And I'm not seeing a lot of English pundits, I should say, doing that. They just want to praise. But you can't just praise, because I think that you rightfully point out, these runs in these tournaments have been very favorable. And if I'm being honest, I think that any so-called big nation, whether it be France, whether it be maybe even the Dutch themselves, they would have come through in similar fashion like England, in my opinion, because the run was so favorable. So I guess we see how it goes.
Before we move on to our word for any sponsors, though, now that he's gone, who do you think should get a crack at your job next?
I don't really care, but I don't know. I'm not an English fan, so I don't know. I see the names. Right. If I had to choose from the names and who I think would be a good fit, I think Eddie Howe would be a good fit, but I don't think Newcastle want to get rid of him. Potter would be okay for me. And if I suspect the FA may want to stay English. But
I think they should.
You think they should? Okay. So then it would be one of those two then?
Yeah.
Or Damps. I said so for purpose.
In all seriousness, if we can be frank for a moment, I'm not sure how many foreign managers have been linked me job. I know people have mentioned Poch and Tuchel. I saw people clamoring for Jurgen Klopp to come back as well. Yeah. First thing first, I can't see Pep doing it.
I can't see Klopp doing it.
I don't think Klopp should do it either. I can't see Klopp doing it either for the main reason that Klopp is a German.
Yeah.
Like, where he walk coaching.
See who it was? Gary Lineker talk about he half English, no.
No, he half Scots, not English. All right, so let me cut it out, Lineker. Let's cut it out, Lineker. But I can't see Klopp doing it. Can't see Pep taking it up. Tuchel is German as well. Can't see that happening either. I don't. Poch is Argentine, for goodness sake. I can't fathom it either. I mean, it could happen, but I can't
Could
fathom
see
it.
Poch doing it to all them.
I can see
to
Poch
be
doing it
honest.
because Poch just want a job.
Yeah. Tuchel just want a job too. I could see you doing it too.
But I think it will end up being between Eddie Howe or Graham Potter. I think the one thing that the FA need to avoid, because you always got the sense that Southgate was a steady pair of hands, and that's what they liked.
Yeah.
And it's not. I'm not saying that they should get a rebel, but I think they might need a manager that's a bit more cutthroat.
Yeah.
And again, I still don't see that. I don't necessarily see that with Eddie Howe and Graham Potter to a certain degree.
True.
Because Graham Potter at Chelsea came off as being a bit
Soft.
too nice, and as though the job was a bit too big for him at that stage in terms of the big players he had to deal with. For example, there are reports that Southgate was a little bit soft too. The reports that Benham apparently tell off Southgate at some point on Sunday. Big players need big managers. They always maintain that as a primary rule. So, me personally, I still remember fondly the Brighton that Potter helped built, and
a lot of people are very quick to forget.
I like that style of football. I did enjoy it. So from a stylistic point of view, I guess I enjoyed watching Potter's best team or best incarnation of a team more so than Eddie Howe's. But again, Eddie Howe is a bit longer in tooth, I guess, and maybe has a bit more experience. So me personally, I would, I guess, prefer to see Graham Potter get a chance in terms of the star of football. If he gets it right and the players buy into his ideals, the star of football, we might be able to see England finally play, or at least attempt to play. But I suspect, my suspicion is that they'll try to get Eddie Howe.
Me too, but I don't think Newcastle want to let him go. So I won't be surprised if it end up being Potter.
But the thing is with Newcastle is that I know there have been some recent changes in terms of their ownership or what's not. So whenever new owners are coming in or they're replacing somebody in a leadership role, I always feel as though the management or playing squad might be subject to change.
It's true.
So I think that might create an opening.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so let's just take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. Whole Health Pharmacy, located in Jordan's Complex, Speightstown, St. Peter, carries a variety of products to take care of you and your health. Essential oils, muscle rubs, and the run-of-the-mill medications. And definitely don't forget your vitamins. Vinci sea salt, air humidifiers, tumblers, and women's havens pads too. We got it all for you. Don't forget your Barbados and natural Vinci snacks. So for sure you're gonna keep coming back. Ever hear about structured water? Well, tell your son, tell your daughter. Whole Health Pharmacy. More than a pharmacy, we take care of you and your health. All right. So our final segment is the team of the tournament. So I guess we do alternate as we usually do.
Yes, please.
Starting with goalkeeper, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. My goalkeeper of the tournament, and I'm not really doing this off the cuff, but I wrote down nothing. But my goalkeeper of the tournament, I'm gonna go with Magnan from France. Felt as though he had a decent enough tournament.
Yeah. Goalkeeper was tough for me. It was between Magnan and Unai Simon.
Right.
I actually don't laugh. I actually had Pickford up there as well. I felt like I think Pickford is one of the players from England that kind of come out okay.
With some credit. Yeah. I didn't feel him.
He made some key saves at some key times as well.
Correct.
But just because I felt like Magnan was so good and so solid, I will give him the nod over Unai Simon. And I got a lot of Spanish players on my side, so
everybody does.
Make it all Spanish, so I will give it to Magnan.
Right. So.
Right back, I have Carvajal. Oh yeah, a good tournament.
Yeah, I had Carvajal too. I thought he had a strong tournament.
Yeah.
Steady.
Yeah. As usual.
Steady, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's just like average, but he's really good, solid, rock solid. Leader on the pitch as well. So yeah.
Left back was you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So my left back of the tournament was the much criticized, much maligned.
Oh,
Went back to Brighton because I think people forget that this guy was exceptional at Brighton and that City also was in the market for him before Chelsea got him.
Gary Neville, are you listening?
Are you listening, Gary? Right. Marco Corella is my left back of the tournament. Fantastic tournament, fantastic performance, fully deserved. A credit to his nation. I heard people saying like Carragher talking about Saka will have him on toast or should have him on
I saw
toast.
that too. Which I thought was mad disrespectful given the tournament the guy was having. I hated it. I hated the comment.
Because they were judging his form for Chelsea when he first made a move.
Yeah.
Chelsea was a team in transition that
exactly,
had a lot of problems.
And Cucurella actually finished the season quite well at Chelsea.
But Cucurella is a good player.
He is a good player.
I don't care people tell me. I know that sometimes certain transfers don't always work out, but I always go back to it. When people buy these players, were you saying that they were that bad?
Exactly. And like I had said on the show, I think it was a few months ago, he was dealing with some off-field issues in that first year as well. So he's also my left back.
Right.
And I will sell Chilwell before I sell Cucurella. That's just a side note.
Fair enough. I did not know that it was something that was up for we have a little bit of technical difficulties on the screen, but don't worry.
The producer telling me to move the
mouse.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
We back.
All right. So
yeah, it's not. I think we're looking to move one of them on. I would personally. I know Chile is the vice captain, and there's not a Chelsea segment, but I think Cucurella has been way too underrated, way too disrespected, and he's a very, very, very good player in my opinion. And I'm glad that he got a chance to showcase it at Euros. So he's also my left back.
He is a good player when he's in a good system.
That too. So let's see what this season will bring for him. Centre backs was a bit difficult because I felt that there were a few centre backs that had good tournaments. So this could have been anything. So for me, this was kind of like pulling names out of the hat. So I went with Gehi and Saliba.
Okay, good show. I also went with Gehi. I thought he was exceptional, which is really a credit to him because I had concerns being by the fact that Southgate didn't really, try other centre backs for a long time besides John Stones and
Harry Maguire.
So my skepticism was basically like, how would these guys do? Having not really had much international football pre-tournament, but he did really well.
Yeah.
And just saying, no, he's the only England player that made my team of the
how is Kyle Walker making team in the tournament ahead of Gehi? That just got my mind blown. But anyways.
But yeah, so Gehi was my centre back, and my other centre back that I was impressed with is Spain's Lenormand.
Okay.
How you pronounce it?
I know how you pronounce it, but
I heard watching every game. I heard the commentators say Lenormand or Lenormand or something. But yes, I think he's about to move to Atletico Madrid.
Okay, where is he now?
I think he was at Sociedad. I believe.
Okay.
I think it may be Sociedad.
Solid player.
But solid player, exactly. I was really impressed with his performance for Spain. Every game I watched Spain play, and I watched most of the games. He impressed. So.
Yeah. I think you could have had all of Spain's back five.
But Saliba was also in contention for me because I thought he had a very good up until France's elimination.
Yeah, I thought so too. Midfield, I have Spain again, Rodri and Fabian Ruiz. I know that Rodri got player of the tournament, but I felt Fabian Ruiz was really good. I thought that Rodri gets a lot of plaudits because of who he is, but arguably Fabian Ruiz had just as good a tournament. So there were my two centre mids.
Which formation you play?
4-2-3-1.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't say anything. All right. Yeah, I had both Rodri and Fabian Ruiz. Rodri, another solid tournament performance, efficient, and Fabian Ruiz, what a player. Just the intelligence of position, passing, also able to take the ball, also able to assist with goals as well. Yeah, splendid player.
Yeah. Number 10?
Right, my number 10 was difficult to a certain degree, but my number 10 would have been Dani Olmo. I know he didn't start the tournament, But having gone into the team as a result of Pedri's injury,
Mm-hmm.
he really played exceptionally well.
I agree. He's also my number 10. Right and left wing for me. Easy.
Obviously. The young player tournament, and so Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams. Yeah.
Excellent tournament. Yamal. I always get confused as if it's Yamal or Lamal, but it's Lamine Yamal.
Okay.
That's it, right? Oh gosh.
Lamine, go ahead.
Right. Right for the awarded young player tournament. Really, really good tournament. He had a really good opportunity in this game, in last game as well, to put Spain ahead. Just looks a fantastic player at 17 years old.
Yeah, like 2 chances to score second half.
I only remember one though.
There was one was a curler towards the far post that Pickford was able to push Wade.
That's the one I remember.
And then you had one where he came onto it, but he kind of shot straight at Pickford.
Okay, I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
But
he had 2 chances.
Yeah, and Williams as well, fantastic. Obviously Yamal would get the plaudits because young player tournament, but Williams was very, very good in the tournament, I felt, and I think both of them were a large part of Spain's success.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, exceptional performances, dynamic, pacey, trickery, skillful,
everything.
But I was really impressed. Yeah, they made mistakes at times in terms of
as young players would.
Yeah, exactly. But I was kind of impressed as well with their maturity in terms of knowing when to hold it, when to release it, and then their intelligence of pass as well at certain times.
Yeah.
So that was really good to see.
Yeah. Striker was hard for me.
Right. Okay.
What turn is?
I think it might be mine. Want me to go?
Sure.
Okay. So I already got one Golden Boot winner in my team. My striker, what's kind of tough. I have two names that I could call. But ultimately,
I want to hear both of the names though.
Sure. I'll ultimately go, although he didn't play striker in the tournament though. But ultimately go with Gakpo. I think he got 3 goals. I think he was Holland's best player in tournament. So I'll go with him just because he would have also been core-share of the Golden Boot. The other name that I considered was Musiala. I thought he was really good as well. Plus Germany participated. So really a threat.
I actually have Gakpo too. So basically we have the same team barring one centre back.
Yeah, could be watching the football.
Yeah. Yeah. But like you said, I thought Gakpo played. Gakpo was definitely Gakpo and Simons.
Yeah.
Were definitely Holland stand players. Depay was okay in pieces.
He was okay in pieces.
Yeah, but I thought Gakpo had a really, really good tournament. Reminded me of how good he was at the World Cup. It reminded me of definitely why Liverpool bought him. Very good player, Very, very good player. And I think he'll have a good season for real though. I really do think he'll have a good season. But he's a player. He's a player. I thought he had a really good tournament, and anything Holland did well, it was because of him and Simon. So yeah, it was a good tournament. I enjoyed watching it. I actually didn't have internet for 10 days. You didn't tell me that. It was a very tough.
I didn't think I cross watching football, man.
Honestly, I didn't really feel it from my whole study thing.
I didn't know you had no internet.
So I didn't get to watch. I missed the Germany-Spain game, which was probably I
watched that in pieces because I was at work.
Yeah, so that was probably a good thing for me. Right. I also missed. I think I missed the last few quarterfinals, but I did get to see the semifinals and the final.
Okay.
And I did see piece of Holland's. Yeah, I did. I wanted to watch that game because that was shaping up really well. Holland versus it was Turkey when Turkey took the lead. Right. Yeah. So I was able to bump some data and watch the last half of Holland's comeback. But I thought it was a good watch. I thought there were a lot of goals. There were a lot of great goals, especially at the beginning. And then you saw some really cagey. When I say cagey, I mean tight affairs.
Right.
Where the team seemed really evenly matched, even though, you expect teams like England to kind of roll over the Slovenians, and you expect Holland to easily beat teams like Turkey, in my opinion at least. But those teams really they showed that, with good coaching and stuff, international football is actually quite close at the moment, I would say. Yeah, especially since you say a lot of teams in transition as well.
Well, on paper, you would expect England to roll over those teams, but England was a bit in the body that come out City. Because seriously,
Fair.
they had a way of open. They weren't efficient or effective at opening teams up for the most part.
Fair.
But like you said, what England gave us in terms of, though, I must say, is that they gave us drama.
Indeed. Indeed.
They gave us late
And
drama.
without it, we wouldn't have had that wonderful goal from Bellingham.
Correct. They gave us late drama, so you can't be too critical of them.
Fair. Yeah, so that's it for another episode of the Dugout podcast. As Andrew said at the beginning, I think we're looking to be back when the season resumes in mid-August, hopefully. But we'll see how that goes. So we're taking maybe a month or so break, and then we'll be back. So we just want to thank our sponsors, Whole Health Pharmacy. We want to thank our producers, Spirit Life Studios. Follow us, Marissa Simone 9107 and Drew 9106. Yes, those are our Instagram handles. And of course, the Dugout_podcast. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I mean, it's not just us here talking. We want to hear from you, your comments. If I talking bear crap, if Andrew talking bear crap, it's fine to say. Remember, a good balance is good. Not overly critical, not overly praisy, but a good balance. And yeah, so hopefully this is the end of our second season. Well, feels like we now started.
It kind of did, you know.
Yeah. So season 3 we back, and hopefully more guests, more current players, former players, current pundits, former pundits. We'll see.
More fans.
More fans. Yes, more. It's true, you know. We should have, because we've only really had family on.
Yes.
Yeah. So we gotta get some people that aren't our family on the show. Yeah. So it's been another great season. We had a great T20 World Cup. We had a great Euros. So we're looking forward to what the Premier League season 2024-2025 brings. And we're looking forward to doing it with you. So do join us next time.